Late night, early mornings, DJ Bax. This is the podcast, y'all. Starting out for the 2023. Let's get it.
Late nights, early mornings, DJ Bax.
Bar is now closed. Let's get ready to rumble!
I know you're gonna dig this.
All systems are go.
Check this out.
All systems are go.
Check this out. Late night, early mornings, DJ Bax. This is the podcast.
Late nights, early mornings, DJ Bax.
Let's get ready to rumble! Back y'all for the 23.
Late nights, early mornings, DJ Bax.
Feeling good out there. Feeling good.
Late nights, early mornings,
Thank you, good. Positive vibes. Late night, early mornings. This is DJ Bax. I am bringing you the podcast, the late night, early morning podcast. Definitely still young in the game, but appreciating the game and ready to play. Let's get ready to rumble! Ain't about the rumble, but we about to talk about some things there. Glad everybody made it over to the 23. Definitely checking me out here. Like I said, podcast, we're looking to do big things here. And I know skipped out last week, had a lot going on. And I definitely said I wanted to get something started, coming a little early to make sure I get something in, for the week. So I appreciate everyone checking me out. Always make sure you check the YouTube channel, DJ Bax CLT. You can catch me on the book, Facebook. And if I don't have difficulty, I'll try to put it on the gram. And my TikTok, I got frustrated with it. I got a couple of episodes up there, and then it just started doing a little bit too much. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that on pause for a minute. But nevertheless, here today, late night, early mornings, the podcast. And I said, one of my big things this year, I'm going to bring on a lot more guests here. Just wait until things settle down. But I am going to bring on some guests and have some conversations here. But the conversation that I do want to have tonight, which has been, I think on a lot of people, I've seen it a lot on social media. I've seen people talk about it and I was going to address it early on, but I was like, I'm going to hold off for a second. There's a lot of other things to talk about. I had a lot of great guests back in the Double Deuce and a lot of great conversations. But I wanted to just kind of hold off on this topic until I got to this year and kind of had some space. And so one of the things that is talked about a lot, we kind of alluded to it on some of the other podcasts, but one thing that is always good dialogue about is who's in your top five. Now that can break down in so many different lanes. I mean, you got your top five hip hop, you got the top five R&B, you got the top five, female singers, you got the top five male singers. You can go top five in all different categories here, and I'll probably touch on a lot because I am a fan of the music regardless. But today I'm going to start off with my top five rappers ever, And I know a lot of people probably won't agree with my list, understand. I come from the golden era. So there's a lot of things that meant or hit me different than it may hit, some of the younger people or some of the older people. But these are, my top five as of right now. And everybody, and I watch a lot of shows, and I know people talk about, hey, my top five changes or whatever, and it does. It can sway depending on what your mood is and what you're really feeling. But I think my top five has been pretty consistent here for the past few years here. So let's start it off. Let's get the show stopping because I'm going to keep it on time here. So maybe I can get it uploaded tonight. But the top five, number five, I would definitely say number five in my top five is no other than Ice Cube. And to me, Cube, I was a big NWA fan. It came out in the golden era. He was the voice of the NWA. He wrote the rhymes, a lot of them. Can't say enough about Cube. I mean, not only did what his contribution was to NWA, and go back and listen to that Straight Outta Compton, album, it'll definitely tell you what it is. But even after that, even when he went into a solo career, I mean, just consistent hits. I mean, you're talking about America's Most Wanted, one of the most underrated hip hop albums ever. But there's so many different songs I can go with. I can go with what he did on, NWA was Straight Outta Compton. He helped Easy out with his album, Boys in the Hood, great song. Gangsta Gangsta. Golly, I know I'm going to leave off some. But on the solo side, Check Yourself. Today was a good day. Golly, there are Player Club Anthem. We be clubbing. There's so many songs, but Cube to me definitely when I think about hip hop and what it meant to me or means to me, Cube is definitely up there for me, and I got him in at number five. Number four for me, I would probably say Jay-Z. And some people like Jay-Z, some people don't. I like Jay-Z because he's on that line. He's on that line of the old school. I mean, I can remember coming back out with Hawaiian Sophie and when he was trying to get on and the movement that he was attempting to do as far as as a New York hip hop artist. But then in that moment, I tell anybody, I say you got to think about it in that prime era of Def Jam in the late 90s, early 2000s. It could have been anybody's game. I mean, you had DMX was a killer. You had Ja Rule, who was smashing at the time, and you had Jay-Z. And this is of course after the death of Biggie and Pop, so there was definitely a big void, and he rose above the rest. And I think for me, what I like about Jay is that he consistently moved his game. And what I mean by that is that he didn't stay in one lane. He continued to evolve, throughout the years. With the sound, with producers, he didn't stick with just the same producers. He used everybody from Timberland to Pharrell, Neptunes to, Just Blaze to, and the list goes on. Kanye, all those guys. And he continued to, Rick Rubin, I mean, he continued to evolve throughout the years and still be, a name. Still definitely, you get a verse from Jay, is definitely going to get attention. Is he the Jay-Z of his prime? No, but I mean, he's Jay-Z. He's on a whole different level. So he doesn't have to rap anymore. He does it because that's his passion, that's his love, but he doesn't have to anymore. And he's done it well for so long, consistent. And when everybody else fell off, he stayed relevant for a long time. Still is relevant as a businessman today. So, shout out to Jay. I have him at four. My number three My number three, I would definitely say it would be, and it's tough. Like I said, it bounces. But I would say my number three, as far as impact for me, would be probably Biggie. Some people gonna like trip on me and like, Biggie, you got Biggie at three? Yeah, I got Biggie at three. And the reason why is because during the time when Biggie came out, West Coast was rock, rock. And Biggie put New York on his back and brought back that, it was gangster. It was gangster with the West Coast stuff. So there was a lot of, you go out, you have a good time, but there was gonna be some stuff with, with the West, especially when they played the West Coast. And but Biggie brought that fun back into hip hop. Him, Puff Daddy, the whole Bad Boy movement, Great Man, all those guys, man. Shout out to Bad Boy. But Biggie brought that fun back and those classics, him and Puffy, they did their thing. You can't, not knock that. I mean, knock it. And then as well, Biggie could rap. Like even today, when I listen to some of his stuff, I'm like, where in the heck did you get that from? It was just his flow, and it was like it just worked, you know. And that's the whole thing with hip hop is like, you got to put it all together and give, you know, what people what they need, but as well also, flex a little bit. And he had that combination. That flow was just crazy, and his rhymes were just on point. He didn't miss. And I mean, Ready to Die is ultimate classic hip hop album. So many hits on that. And then you go, Life After Death and just crazy. And then you can't displace the stuff that he did with Junior Mafia and, helping, Lil Kim get out on top. So um, definitely shout out to Biggie. Number three, definitely. My number two. My number two is Big Daddy Kane. And people are gonna be like, well, in that era, there was Rakim, there was Slick Rick, there was LL, Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane. And shout out to, a little brother, E-Love. He was over here a few nights ago and we were watching the verses with Big Daddy Kane and ARS-One. ARS-One is phenomenal as well. But just to remind you that Kane set the stage. That's who Jay-Z was trying to be like in after and Kane, would bring Jay along on some of the shows. But Kane is one of the godfathers. I mean, you had LL and then it was, a lot of others, but Kane was one that, did his thing. Not only could his brother rap, still can rap. Just, the showmanship along with it, and the style, check out some of Kane's gear back in the day. Like he was on a popping and then, just being bigger than rap. Dude did Playboy or something with Madonna. I mean, you're bigger than rap when you were doing that back in that day. Which set the blueprint for a lot of these cats today. So if you love hip hop, go back and check out that Long Live the Kane album, CD, whatever, tape, whatever you get. Classic hip hop. And then he did it, second, with I Get the Job Done album. I believe that. I'm trying to remember. Long Live the Kane. Long Live the Kane was the first album. Second album, I can't remember off the top of my head. I remember I Get the Job Done on it, and quite a few other hits on there. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but somebody will put it on here. And then afterwards, so and then he went to acting and all of that great stuff. So shout out Big Daddy Kane. Like I said, he set the stage for you to get the Jay-Z's and some of the others. That's who they looked up to at that particular time with Big Daddy Kane. Shout out to Kane. And I would say my number one. And my number one has been consistent for a long time. And definitely one of my favorite artists. which is Tupac. Tupac to me was a mixture of everything I was feeling throughout the years. One of the most impactful albums that Tupac did was Me Against the World. He was in jail at the time when that album came out. Um, Obviously, that's the one with Dear Mama on it. Um, so many other songs on there. But that album for me at a particular time, it just it touched me. It reached my soul. It was deep to me. And then you couple that with all the other material that he came out with that really was just ultimate classics there. I mean, you got Machiavelli, then you got All Eyes on Me, then you got hits off the earlier stuff. But I remember Pac on when he was with Digital Underground and the same old song, and like when he came out in the video, I was like, hey, who's that dude? And then obviously he came out with Keep Your Head Up and Brenda's Got a Baby. And then, came out with the CD Strictly for My Niggas and hits off of that. So Pac to me is always going to be number one. I definitely don't see anybody new taking his spot in my eyes. He has a lot of, just All Eyes on Me, double CD. Like when you talk about every song is a banger, people can't do that anymore. I'm sorry, they just can't. And Machiavelli was just as sick, you know. And then like I said, Me Against the World is just one of my ultimate favorite CDs. It definitely inspired me. But definitely by far, Pac is still the number one hip hop artist to me. Obviously, people don't agree with some of his antics and some of the things that happen, and so be it. I dare you to pull any musician or artist, and they don't have something with it, you know. And there's some of his antics I didn't agree with. I wish he could have lived longer to, you know, give us more of that quality music. But all of that's out of our hands, and things are written as they're written. But definitely by far one of my number one hip hop artists, Tupac, and all of those brothers that I named, have been very inspirational in my life, and I definitely enjoyed their music for a very long time. I still play a lot of their songs quite a bit, in my personal collection, and then as well when I DJ too. Just all depends on the crowd, but yeah, that's my top five right now. Comment, tell me, who your top five is. I mean, there's a lot of other artists that I know people generally have. I know, and I don't disagree with anybody's top five. You like who you like. I know some people will say, well, what about Eminem? I think Eminem's great. Some of his stuff I like. His first album, there's a lot of songs that I like. Other ones, there were other songs that I like, and his freestyles and all that stuff. But Eminem, he did he was a genius. I mean, he's filthy rich now, and he knew his lane, and he rode that lane. Other people would say Andre 3000, love Andre 3000. I think he was future of. I mean, he wrote the book on what Atlanta should be, and him and Big Boy, Outkast, great. And I'll talk about groups in another podcast, but Andre 3000 definitely, one of the tops. I think some other people that people may throw up in their top five. LL Cool J. LL Cool J to me is one of the GOATs ever. So many of his albums. Bad was one of my favorites. I Can't Live Without My Radio. I mean, go on. But LL is definitely a top one. Not Eric B, but Rakim. Rakim is phenomenal. Paid in Full album is dope as heck. I wish we could have got more material out of him in his prime. But you know, that's hip hop. Slick Rick, another one, crazy. You know, first album, Adventures of Slick Rick, ultimate classic in it. Wish we could have got more out of him in his prime. Trying to think of some others. You know, I know some of the newer artists. You know, people say Kanye. Kanye's first couple of albums, maybe 2 or 3, I believe, are classics. Never take that away from him. After that, it kind of like got into another level. Just a level I was feeling, and then you couple that with his antics, which I know they're separate, but it just kind of impacts. And it's like Kanye's great, and I'll never take him away. I would definitely say he's in my top 15 to 20 because I can't deny his skill and his talent. But yeah, Kendrick Lamar, another dope one. His first album, fire. I remember that. I remember once again my little cousin E. You know, he put me on to that, and I remember us riding. We were in the Bay, and we were bumping that Kendrick Lamar. So definitely cool. J. Cole is another one, hot. I know he's probably in some people's top. Drake's good. You know, I definitely, you know he has a lot of talent and is made classic songs. But kind of on the other side of my generation. So Drake, early Drake, definitely impactful. Later Drake is for the kids, as ODB would say, for the kids. I'm trying to think of a lot. I mean, there's so many that you could name that could be in people's top 5. But you know, I just wanted to give my top 5. I know people ask me sometimes, and it really hasn't changed. It may change a little order. Sometimes I may like Biggie more than I like Big Daddy Kane, but for the most part, they're about in that same realm. Pac definitely never has changed. He's been number 1 for a long time. Snoop, Snoop can be in a lot of people's top 5. And probably at sometimes maybe he's dipped in there. You know, maybe him and Cuba kind of switched out sometimes. But definitely that Doggy Style, the Chronic album, phenomenal. But there's a lot of cats that could be in there. So just wanted to share that. I'm not making this podcast long, but I wanted to do something, and let y'all know I'm still here. I'm still doing this. I'm not going nowhere. It is a great outlet for me to be able to talk to people and kind of share my viewpoints on certain things. If it matters, some people it may not matter. They're like, we don't care what you think, but guess what? It's the late night, early morning show, so guess what? I can do that. But definitely. So like I said, I'd like to hear from the people. Chime in. Let me know what your top 5 is. We can discuss it. Looking for guests. I have some guests lined up, but if you're interested in being a guest, reach out to me. Hit me, you can DM me. You can there's multiple ways of people getting in touch with me. Not hard to find. So let me know, and I'll be happy to bring you on the cast and we can chop it up here. But nevertheless, I want people to continue to be safe. We're in the new year, 23. Inflation is real. I mean, and damn, eggs are like $20. Yeah, it's crazy. Egg from a chicken. Chicken's everywhere. But nevertheless, we still here. We still gonna survive as always. And definitely appreciate everyone coming out. Make sure you check me out. My YouTube page is DJ Bax CLT. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, DJ Bax 187, and on that TikTok, DJ Bax CLT. Once again, I appreciate everyone joining me tonight. Continue to be safe. We'll see you on the next go around. Late night, early mornings, DJ Bax. Peace.